literally, this is her words. That was amazing. I want to do it again. Put her back in. I want to push her back out. Because I never thought about this. Like, they're your provider as much as you want them to be. And then a couple more like pushes and his head was out. Could feel his head, which was so cool. And then I felt his rotation. Oh my gosh. I just birthed him in the water. This was my dream.
Hi, my name is Olivia, and I am very excited to share this week's video because I interviewed my friend Emily, who had 2 very positive home birth stories. And so I just got to sit down with her and talk about all things home birth, and I got to ask all my questions. She tells her stories. So it's just really positive, really encouraging, and just really sweet. And so I'm very excited for you guys to get to listen to this. I also, just in case you're new to this channel, my name's Olivia. Like I already said, I have a 14-month-old baby boy, and I just love doing things a little bit more natural, a little bit more on the crunchy side of things. I love talking about everything that has to do with motherhood, birth, postpartum, anything that's going to make your household, your family healthier and happier. Those are things I love to share. And so I'm really excited to share this video. I hope you guys enjoy it. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, let us know. And if you want to get to know Emily more, I'll also put those links in the description. Anyways, thank you for doing this, seriously, because I know you're busy, life's busy. It's a lot.
Totally. I'm so honored you asked. I love talking about all things birth.
I literally feel like I've talked to so many people about birth just because I've listened to 4,000 million birth stories, but I've literally never talked to someone, sat down and talked to anyone who's had a home birth, which is crazy. So I'm very excited.
So I feel like it's very rare. People in my corner anyway, they don't home birth. And so they're like, what? You home birth? I'm like, yeah.
I know. It's like when I get sucked into the social media world, I'm like, oh, this happens every day. But then I can't, I know one other person. That's it. And if I say I want my next birth to be a home birth, then people are all negative. Oh my gosh, blah, blah, blah. And so, yeah.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. So I'm very glad that I'm talking to you about this. So I was thinking maybe you had 2 really positive home birth stories. So I thought maybe you could just talk about that, and then any other part of your story you want to talk about. And I'm sure I'm going to have a million questions. So if I could just interject whenever I have a question, that would be awesome.
Yeah, let's do that. So do you want me to start with the first home birth?
Sure. Yeah, because I just how did that even come on your mind to do it for the first baby? How'd you get your husband on board? Was that a thing? Yeah, I just want to know all that.
Okay, so to start off, my husband is the most chill person ever. I am more we got to do A, B, C, D, E, F, G, right? And in the order, this is how it has to be done. So I've always wanted to do a home birth. But backstory, funny thing is that I was going to school for nursing, which, COVID happened and all of that. And then I had her. So I would have gotten fired for sure from the hospital because I would never follow those guidelines.
Yeah.
The COVID way. So it was definitely a God thing that I was not a nurse and I didn't continue on. But anyway, so I wanted to do a home birth, told him about it. I watch birthing videos all the time. So he already knew. And I was like, hey, I found this midwife center in town. Do you want to go check it out and meet some of these women? He was like, sure. Hands down, he didn't care. Plus, backstory for getting pregnant with Ellie, it took 4.5 years. And we went to a fertility doctor. We did all the things. Went to a fertility doctor. They're like, yes, you have unexplained infertility. And here, let's start you on IVF. Initial cost is $10,000. So I was like, well, I guess this is our only hope. And he was like, no, we ain't doing that. So he was pretty adamant, we're not doing that. And I was at that point, I'm desperate. I don't want to do medications and stuff, but if I have to, I will. So I think he kind of experienced the medical side and was like, yeah, no. So anyway, going to meet the midwife and everything, he was just on board of what he knew that I knew my body, and he trusted that. So let's see, starting from her labor. So her due date was October 19th. And on that Monday, the 11th, at like 3:45 in the morning, my water broke. So she came definitely early, and I thought I had one more day of work to like get things finalized before her arrival. And so I woke up in the morning and I felt like a gush and was like, oh, is this water? So I rushed to the bathroom, everything's wet, and I'm like, did I pee myself or is this my water breaking? Because you don't know, it's your first. And so I get back in bed and I'm like Googling, like, what is it like when your water breaks? And then I wake Sean up and I'm like, hey, I think my water broke. And he's like, are we sure? Like, is it time for work? And I'm like, no, it's like 3:45 in the morning. So we're Googling it and I'm like, yeah, I'm still like water's trickling out. This is definitely my water. So at that point I call or text my doula and she's like, have you called your midwife? And I was like, no, let me call her. So I call her, and I think she lived at the time like 45 minutes to an hour away. So she was like, well, let me know when things progress. And then my doula was going to get her kids situated and then come to the house when I need her. So from there I was like, oh, I feel pretty great. So I get the vacuum. I'm like vacuuming the floors.
Are you having any like contractions at this point, or your water broke and that's it?
I felt like some light cramping, but nothing like bad. And I'm like, okay, this is pretty minimal. And then I had like a snack. I was obsessed with grapes. So I had like these like pretzel thins and some grapes. And I was like chowing down on a snack because I was like all of a sudden hungry. And so then my midwife, no, she didn't show up. The doula shows up about 7. Let me back up before that. Oh, I was like, let me get in the shower because my back was hurting really bad. And like the cramping kind of got more intense. So I got in the shower, was in there for a little bit, got out, was on the birthing ball, was trying to like calm and like breathe. And I had this annoying soundtrack that was like, I did the hypnobirthing class. And so it was like, breathe in, breathe out. Connect with your baby. Your baby is lowering down, and like this annoying voice, but it was calming me because I was like listening to it and trying to like just relax. And so I was like playing that literally for the birth was 9 hours. So it was like 9 hours of that.
So it was annoying, but you kept playing it. Okay.
Assurance, I guess.
Okay.
So I'm in and out of the shower, back on the birth ball, kind of bouncing, trying to breathe through contractions. And I told him, I was like, where is Summer? She was my doula. I was like, where is she at? Tell her she needs to get here. As soon as I said that, she like walked in the door soon after. And so I got back in the shower and was kind of like swaying. I don't know what it is, but like when you're going through birth, like you swaying, I guess helps open up the hips and stuff. But in the shower, I started like getting to like the deep like groaning, and I knew like, oh, I think this is transition. This is what people talk about. Like your voice changes. And so then I was tired, and my birth tub, so we forgot an air pump. So they're trying to blow up the birthing tub because I wanted a water birth while I'm like in and out of the shower. And I'm like desperate to get in this tub. Which, mind you, I could have just sat in my tub in the shower. Why nobody thought this, I don't know. But they're like trying to get the tub blown up. It doesn't get blown up till like 9 a.m. And then the water takes forever to fill up. So we're like running a hose from one shower to like the tub. So it's like the perfect, warmth. And that took forever. I think it was finally ready close to 10 is when I got in. And then, so I was in the shower, they put the big birth, ball in the shower, and I was sitting on that, and that was nice. And then they had tennis balls, and they were pushing them like on my lower back, and it was helping like during the contraction, and it was helping with the pressure. And so, there was the doula, and then she had an assistant that was kind of shadowing her. And so she was pushing the tennis balls on my back. And then they were holding like the handheld shower head over me because I was cold, because we like our house cold, and it was 65 degrees.
Oh gosh.
So I would be like, cold, balls, water, hot. And I would just like give one word. So they were kind of laughing at that. And then when the tub was finally ready, I had to go all the way down the hallway walking. And then the tub that they had was really like deep, and it was really stiff. And so I knew like it was going to take some effort to get into the tub. And so they were like, hey, your tub is ready. And I was like, I can't do it. I need to like get on the floor. So I got out of the shower onto the shower, like the bathroom floor, with like towels everywhere all over me. And because it was freezing. And my midwife was behind, I was on all fours. My midwife was behind me, pushing like my hips in during contractions. And I started to feel like, okay, I need to push. So she was like, yeah, go ahead, go for it. And at this point, like, I'm pretty hands off. Like, I don't want them to check me and all of that. So I just kind of wanted to like go with my body. So she didn't check me or anything like that. They're just like, hey, we're here, like however you need. So I'm on the floor for a good while pushing, and like I can kind of feel her coming down, but like she won't stay down. And I'm like getting flustered because I'm like, you have this continual like urge to push. And so that was like forever. I feel like I don't even know the time frame on that, but I was like pushing forever. And they finally were like, hey, let's get you up, either sit on the toilet because that helps like the gravity, or we can get you to the tub or the bed. And I was like, I want my tub. I knew like I wanted that relief. So between the contractions and feeling the urge to push, I was like, okay, now's the time. So they like helped me like waddle down the hallway. And then I got to the bedroom where the tub was at, and like threw myself over in because like I had the urge to push again. I feel like it was just all over the place with her because I just didn't know what to expect, and I'm just trying to listen to my body. And then have you ever seen like the I think they call it like the rebozo techniques, like the
like scarf looking thing?
Yeah. So my doula had one of those, and she was like, let's use this. The counter pressure will really help you get like more of a, what's I'm trying to say, like I don't know, just the counter pressure to give more like strength to push. And so I was in the tub laying back, and she had it wrapped around her, and I was pulling. Well, the other two girls had to hold her back because I almost pulled her in the tub with me.
Oh my gosh.
So I was like, it was really hard. I don't know why she wasn't staying down. Other than like the cord was wrapped around her shoulder too. So maybe made the cord shorter. But anyway, so we did several different techniques of me like pulling the scarf like around her waist. Sean had it at one moment. So I did that in the tub, and then I was finally like getting really tired, and I was like, I really just need to rest. And they're like, okay, can you make it to the bed? Which was, we were going to the master at this point. So I had to walk across the hallway to our bed. And I was like, I don't know if I can do it. And they're like, okay, well, we're going to help you. So I was like, let me wait another contraction. And then whenever I was like, let's go, like everybody had to like, let's go now, like fast, or else I knew like I would be like dropping on the floor. They helped me get to the bed. I could barely make it to like my side of the bed. So I made to Sean's side and like was trying to get positioned on like the closest side to the doorway. And they're like, try to, stay on your side and try not to push. And so that was miserable. I was like in so much, not pain, but like I was just so tired. And when your body is like doing something, you can't like counteract that because it's doing it. So at one point I was on my side and I was holding on to like Sean's hand the whole time, like squeezing it so hard. And I was grabbing and had my eyes closed, and I grabbed his chest and got a hold of his nipple and squeezed really hard. And they all saw, and he like gently like moved my hand off and then like held it. And like later they were like, were you okay? And he was like, no, but it was still like silent. He didn't freak out or nothing. So then from there I was like, I've got to let me get on my back and relax for a minute. So it wasn't until I got on my back that I was able to kind of rest for a minute. And then I was able to like really push her down, which they say laboring on your back and pushing on your back is like not optimal at all, which makes sense because like I don't think your hips are open very well. In hindsight, I'm like, oh, that makes sense because it was really hard to get her out. But anyway, so was able to like push her down, and she stayed down, and then she started crowning, which the ring of fire, and it's awful. And I think that's like the only awful part. I think the rest of it for me is like, it's going to be over soon. You know, you can't be pregnant forever. And so felt the ring of fire, got her head out, but she couldn't rotate. And so because the cord was wrapped around her shoulder and her neck, which the neck is normal. I feel like people are like, they freak out when they hear certain things, and like some of it is, that's just birth, it's normal. But the medical field will make you feel like this is not normal and we have to like do something urgent. So my midwife was like, get her up now. So I was like, I can't. I have no energy, I can't. And so they were like pulling up on my shoulders to get me to like try to stand up. And so my midwife had to like kind of pull her out a little bit because she couldn't get that full rotation that they do in order to like get the rest of her body out. And after she was able to kind of get her shoulders out, was able to push the rest of her body out. And I was just like, oh, it's over. Yes, I got her body out. It was just kind of, she was on my chest, but it takes a minute to like realize like what happened. And you just went through like an intense amount of work. And so yeah, she was a little like purple and blue, but she was breathing. She just didn't have like, some babies like they're breathing and fine, but they're not like that screaming, crying. So it took a minute for her to like, get like her crying and stuff, but she was perfectly fine. Didn't need oxygen or nothing. Just took a minute for her to get like full oxygen to her body and pink up. But yeah, that was that. And then birth the placenta, like I think hers came out like 30 to 45 minutes later.
So what time was she actually born?
1:11 p.m.
1:11. Okay. So for your first birth, that's like very short, really, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty optimal, like for a first birth. It was definitely not 24 hours or nothing.
Yeah. So at any point during it seemed like you were like very calm. Was there any part of you that ever had like fear or doubt or anything like that? Or were you just like level the whole time?
I don't think there was any fear because part of like the hypnobirthing, they make you like acknowledge, is there any fear? Like, a lot of women, if it's your first home birth, you're thinking like, oh, I may have to go and be transmitted to the hospital. For me, I didn't really have that fear because like I've seen so many birth videos. So I'm like, this is possible. I can do this. It's just going to be hard. I don't know if I had any fears other than my doula. So at the end, I forgot about this part. 30 minutes before she was born, I was able to like push her head out. She said, is there anything holding you back? And I immediately got annoyed because I said this, no. Because I was just saying one like little words here and there, but I was like, no. And then I had thought about it after she said that, and my first initial response was no. And internally I was like, okay, is there though? And I was like, no, there's not. So let's get this baby out. Like, this is what I'm talking to myself in my head. And then she was born. So I think sometimes mentally you do have to acknowledge, like, because, in labor land, you don't know what's happening. You're just like focusing on what's going on with your body. And so I think internalizing, like, is there anything holding me back? Okay, no, then let's do this thing. She was born later. So, or pretty quickly after.
Like, did you have to get your family on board, or did you talk about it with your family, or was it like frowned upon at all, or were they just like accepting, and like how did that piece of it go?
So my mom, she had me naturally, not by choice, but by the time she got to the hospital, she didn't have time for the epidural, and she was able to push me out. Now my brother, he's older than me. She had an epidural and all of that, and he had to be pulled out with forceps. Like, it was kind of traumatic. So with me, once I was born, she was like, that's literally, this is her words, that was amazing. I want to do it again. Put her back in. I want to push her back out. I was like, Mom, that's weird. But she thought it was awesome. So she was all on board with like, okay, you're doing home birth. Now the rest of my family is pretty like medical field. Like, they're all nurses and work in the hospitals. So they were like, what? You're having a baby at home? And then, like I said, our community of like people and around us, like, I don't hear a lot of home births. It's not like, the norm, unless you find those like little pockets of like, birthing centers. Everybody obviously is birthing at home, but it's not the norm. So anybody that would ask us like, oh my gosh, you're pregnant, like, when's she due? And they'd be like asking, you gonna have it in the hospital? I'm like, no, home birth. And they're like, what? And I got tired of like repeating myself. And so actually Sean, my husband, was like, yes, we're having a home birth. And he would like get real sassy with them. And so I think when they saw he was like voicing it for me, they would just stop asking questions. So I'm like, okay, that's cool. So, I mean, yeah, I would say not people close to me. They would kind of keep to themselves. Like, they thought I was kind of odd.
So at any point did you like ever think, okay, I'm just not even going to like tell them what I'm doing, or what, I've always thought about that, because like not everybody needs to know what you're doing, but then also you don't want to lie. So like, what is the right like way to go about it? Plus I could see like myself being kind of sassy, so like I don't want to be rude to people, like I don't know.
I don't know if it's you, but I'm a pretty like chill person, but when I'm pregnant and you say something, I'll get like snappy and sassy. And my other friend is the same way. Like, so when I was pregnant, like, I didn't mind being a little sassy. And like, if you're going to ask me these bold questions, and I'm going to give you a bold answer back. But if I didn't feel like entertaining it, I would just like, we're just going to move on past this conversation. But I think towards the end, I wouldn't talk about anything related to birth, because I just wanted to protect like my headspace and knowing like this is my first time. I want to do this, and I don't want to hear the negative. Even like, not negative home birth stories, but like, not that it's traumatic, but like anything, there was like a little complication, I wouldn't watch any of those videos. I didn't want that in my mind. So I was trying to get only positive birth information in my mind. And I think that's really key, like protecting, because when you're in that labor, like even if you're working out and you're doing an intense training for something, it's all like in your head, right? You're telling yourself, I can do this. I can do one more set, or I can do this. So I feel like in labor, it's all in you and in your headspace. So if you're positive constantly, throughout the pregnancy, you're going to pick that up in birth. And you're like, yeah, I've told myself all this time I can do this. I can do this. So I feel like that's what happened the second birth.
Yeah, I feel like it's such a mental thing, and like your mindset is so important. My husband and I have been talking about that recently, just like how crazy your mind can change, like even just like your perception of things, like everything. It's wild.
It's true.
So going into your second, I know that you listen to Free Birth Society. So I'm just curious, because like in a dream world, I would like love to just have my next child, like by ourselves at home. But like, like how did you, I know you said that at some point. So like, how did you like not do that, choose to do the midwife? Did you have any like questions about what you should do or not? Or like, how did that go about?
Okay, so with the first, like I said, she kind of got stuck and couldn't rotate. So I was like, if this happened again, I don't think I would know what to do. I feel like I would need more research. And because I got pregnant with him so fast, not on purpose, or we weren't like trying, but we were like, hey, let's maybe think about trying soon. And it was that month that it happened. And I still wasn't like tracking or nothing. So I felt like a little overwhelmed on like, okay, I don't think I can do this by myself yet. let me do it one more time with my midwife because I love her. She trusts me. She is very knowledgeable. I hope she's still doing this in general, because if I do a third, I might want to have her there just to do the cleanup, because I never thought about this. Like, they're your provider as much as you want them to be. So like just learning each time of more of like, I do have full control. So anyway, let's go back. So for him, I still wanted her. And she moved location, so I did have to drive an hour to do checkups. But again, she knows that I know the basics of like taking care of your body and eating the right things. And instead of doing like the glucose drink, I would prick my finger and check it after meals. And obviously if it was high, it's because I had a lot of carbs. So like go for a walk and it comes down. So certain things like that, I knew how to take care of my body. And I really just deny a lot of extra care. Like, I don't want to be checked. I don't want sonograms. I only do the one at 19 to 20 weeks to check for gender for her, and for him I wanted to be surprised. So we just did one just to see like where the baby was at. And my husband was like, what if we're having twins? So I was like, let's confirm we're not having twins at this moment. I don't think I would be mad about it, but I was like, let's just do the one sonogram. So I would love to do free birth. I think the next time I'd have to see where I feel, but I felt definitely more safe with using my midwife just to be there for the birth. But honestly, nobody did anything. It was faster. It was perfect. The birth with him, I was like, this is amazing. This is my dream.
Oh. Okay, I want to hear it, because last time I was with you, you're like, it was the best thing. I'm like, I need the details. I should have asked. Like,
oh yeah, I should have told you then. So with him, his due date was April, was it 18th or 19th, which is weird because hers was the 19th or 20th. I might be getting them mixed up at this point, but I think his was the 19th. Yes, because he came 18 days early, and he was born on, my water broke on April 1st, which was April Fool's. So we were like, what? Is this my water breaking? So that day I went into work for the office, had come home, was chatting with my mom, and I was on the couch and I kind of felt like some, I guess it would be dilation, but I was like, oh, that doesn't feel very comfortable. And I like got up and I was like, oh, whatever, I'm fine. It left, like the little like pain kind of left. So we get home and I really wanted to take a bath. Well, my 2-year-old at the time was like wanting to take a bath with me. So I'm like, fine, I'm big and pregnant. Like, let's just get in this tub together. And we used a pink bath bomb because she wanted a bath bomb. And the bath was really like relaxing and comforting to me. And I'm sure like you don't realize what's happening, but your body's telling you like, hey, you're about to have a baby. So, relax, get in the tub. So we get out of the tub. We're sitting in the living room chilling, waiting a few more minutes to put her to bed. And I'm like, okay, let's get Ellie ready for bed. And I go to get up and I feel a gush of water. So I like run to the bathroom and I'm like, oh, maybe bath water, because like we were like, she was wanting me like on my side in the tub. So I'm like, maybe it's like sloshing around and I don't know, maybe it's just like bath water. So then I'm like, that's weird. And then I like saw a tinge of like pink and I'm like, oh, it's the bath bomb. It's the pink bath bomb. So I'd yell to my husband, like, I don't know if my water broke or if this was the bath water like coming out and it's a little pink. And he's like, that's weird. Okay. And so, but then it continues to keep trickling out. And I'm like, okay, was this my water? So like, again, I'm like, maybe just in denial, like, because his due date wasn't for 2.5 more weeks. So, I think we called, so my doula ended up being like my midwife in training under my midwife. So I still got the same exact birth team.
Random.
Yes. So she was a doula and then was a midwife, and now she should be getting her license soon. But she was in training underneath my last midwife. So I got the whole same team again, which I was like so thankful for. So I call her and I'm like, hey, I think my water broke. And she's like telling me all the things, do's and don'ts. I'm like, right. Don't get back in water. You can't have sex. I'm like, right, because everything is open now. Okay, thank you for that. Like, that's the last thing on my mind.
Yeah.
Right. And then I just start, again, I guess it's just my personality. I just start picking up the house. There's a basket of her clothes that need to be folded, so I'm just folding them on the table. And this is like 7:30 p.m. So we're about to get her down for bed. And so my husband, he calls my parents, and they're right down the street at the store. And she's like, you're joking, Sean, you're joking. He's like, I know it's April Fool's, but I swear it's not April Fool's. Like, her water literally just broke. So she's like, I'm leaving the store now. I'm heading there. I'm like, Mom, it's not that, like, there is nothing happening. Like, at this point, like, I'm not cramping. My back's not hurting. So I'm like, maybe this isn't my water. I'm still in denial. So they get here, and then they're all just kind of like staring, watching. I'm like, there's nothing. If you want to do something, fold the laundry or do something, instead of just like, I think they're in disbelief too because it's so early. And so Sean goes, I'm filling up the birth tub now. Like, I'm getting it blown up. I was like, what? I'm like, I'm sure, like, I don't think this is, okay, fine, just go ahead and do it. So he blows up the tub. Then we realize we don't have a part to like connect the hose again. So he's like, I'm going to run down to, he has a buddy that has, works at a parts store. And he's like, I'm going to get it from him. So, in the middle of that, I finally like start, like, my back's kind of hurting now. I'm like, okay, it's kind of weird. I have like some little bit of my back kind of cramping. I'm trying to think what else happened from there. So my 2-year-old is still awake, and I'm telling my mom, I'm like, Mom, can you go ahead and get her to bed? Because like an hour has gone by now. It's like 8:30. I'm like, she really needs to get to bed because I don't want her, I don't know how long this is going to take. She needs to go to sleep. So she goes to put her down. And I like was hanging twinkle lights in the other bedroom. The tub was, filled up. We just need to get the water in it. And I'm on the bouncing ball. And I look at, my dad comes in the room. So he was chilling in the living room. Then he comes into the guest room where I had everything set up. And he's like, again, we keep the house cold. So the house is already getting cold. He's got like one of our blankets wrapped around his shoulders. And he's like sitting on the bed, just like, I guess he's excited. And then he calls my grandma. And he's like on speakerphone. And I'm like, you're ruining my moment here. So I like go to our bedroom. I'm like, I can't deal with this. Because he's excited and wanting to tell her. And then I call Sean. I'm like, how far away are you? Like, I really need you now. Because they were starting to like kick in. So it was about, I think 8:45 that I started timing contractions. I like downloaded a quick app so I could keep track. Because I mean, who can keep track? Like, okay, it's been 2 minutes past. It was 30 seconds long.
No one.
And so I downloaded the app, and I thought, well, I need to be able to tell my midwife like when to head this way, right? So he did call her. He got back and filled up the tub, and he did call her and was like, hey, they're pretty close up, like together. And he sent a screenshot of the contractions, and they were like every couple minutes, and they were like 30 to 45 seconds for about an hour that was happening. They did get there shortly after. It was like 10 o'clock they got there. It was pretty quick because he was born at 11 p.m.
Oh.
So they got there about 10. Yeah. So then, so when Sean came back, I was like, I don't know why it helped, and maybe I've just seen a lot of birth videos, but standing up helped, and like the swing really helped between them. And then I would like hold my arms over his shoulder and like bend down and like bear all my weight on him while he held me up. And that was like, I had to do that every time. So he was like, I think getting tired again of just me like putting all my weight on him. And then I kept my mouth open. So there was one thing that I was reading, that if your mouth, like your jaw is relaxed and open, your pelvic floor is relaxed. I don't know how they compare. but I would just remember like, okay, relax your jaw, because it's easy to like tense up, you know, when you feel like some pain. And so me bending like on him and like over made me like relax my jaw. And so whatever reason that worked. Until I was like, is my tub ready? I want to get in now. I don't know what it is, but the water, I think every woman says this, the water is just like, you can like melt your body and relax into it. And so once the tub was ready, I got in, was able to like relax more fully. And I like leaned back into the tub. I also requested like a softer, more, not softer, but like it wasn't like as like stiff. So I could kind of like lean back into the tub. And then I had to have Sean behind me with like his arms underneath my arms, as like that support, so that I could like actually rest in the water. Cause you know, in water you float. So like I needed that to like kind of anchor me down. And so from there in the tub, I just kept like keeping my jaw open. There was a few times that I like tensed up with my jaw and I felt the pain more intense. So I was like, okay, don't do that. Like relax the jaw. I'm like internally like saying all this to myself. I'm like, hey, don't do that again. And then I told my midwife, I said, I kind of feel like pressure. Like, should I push now? And she said, listen to your body. So I was like, okay, I can do this. So in my mind, I was like, okay, I'm going to wait a couple more contractions. Because like the urge to push wasn't as strong, but I could feel it like coming. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to just rest a few more times. And then I'm going to like give into it and push. Because I thought in my head, like, if I give into it, I could be pushing for hours like I did with the first. And I was like trying to prepare myself, like, what if I have to push like forever again? And it was really hard. So then once I started pushing, I was like, okay, I could really feel him in like more movement of like what was happening. So I could like feel him like descending down. So I did that a few more times, kind of like laying on my back, or not like laying on my back, but like leaning against the tub. And then I was like, I need to get up, like, and be up on all fours. So I said against my midwives, I said, should I get up and like let gravity help me? And they said, yes, like immediately. They didn't even like say anything else, just yes. So I was like, okay, I can do this. I guess like when you're so tired, you know, we worked during the day, it's late at night. I'm an early to bed person. Like by 9 o'clock, I need to be in bed asleep. So like you're tired. So I needed like the reassurance of somebody telling me like, yes, you can do this. Listen to your body. So I let a few more pushes go by, and then I got up and leaned like over my arms over the edge of the tub. And again, I was like, Sean, give me your arm. Like I had to have something to like hold on to. And so from there, I could feel like the immediate shift of him like really drop down. And mind you, I didn't know his gender yet. So I was excited to like, oh my gosh, I'm about to find out like what this baby is. And then I also at one point like was on one knee and lifted my other leg up to like open up the hips. And then I also learned second time to, with your knees, if you put them inward and let your ankles go out, it opens up your hips. So for them to drop down. And so like all of this is coming to my memory like during this. So I'm like, okay, let me move my knees in and my ankles outward. And like I could totally, it's so weird how I had more feeling with him than I did with her. I could literally feel his body and head like moving down. And so I knew like the movements I was doing was working. So yeah, then I got up and had one leg up and I felt him coming down and this starting to crown. And I could feel his head. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I knew it was coming. The ring of fire. So like, you know, it has to do the stretching and allow for it. And so I knew like I just had it to breathe. I knew that needed to not push and just like let the stretching happen. And I'd say is like the worst feeling, because you can feel the stretching in the ring of fire. And so I had to like hold it there and not push any further and just like do the deep breathing. And I kept my mouth open like as much as I could. And then a couple more like pushes and his head was out, could feel his head, which was so cool. And then I felt his rotation. So like I totally felt his shoulders. It was cool, but also like, whoa, because you feel all of that. And I wouldn't say it's like dramatically painful, but it's uncomfortable to me. Like you can feel it's just uncomfortable. So I felt him rotating, and then felt another urge to push, and then was able to get his shoulders out, and then his body just pretty much fell out after that. So nobody helped me. Nobody grabbed him. The midwife in training just kind of pushed him back the other way so that I could turn around and like scoop him up. But yeah, he like pushed his body out, picked him up out of the water and like put him on my chest, and then leaned back. And I was like, oh my gosh, I just birthed him in the water. This was my dream. This is crazy. And I was still like in the wow factor without realizing like, oh my gosh, we don't know like what the gender is. Right. But I could hear them talking, and my midwife was like, it's a boy. And so then my husband was like excited right next to me, and we had two names picked out. And immediately, like, you know, I'm still like in la la land of like, oh, it's my baby, I pushed him out. And he leans over, he's like, I think he's a Liam John. And I'm like, okay, whatever. Like, I'm not worried about a name at this point. I'm just excited. You know, you're like, a lot just happened.
Like, start to finish, how long was that labor?
So he was water broke at 7:30. And then he was born at 11:11 p.m., which is funny because she was born at 1:11 p.m. during the day, and he was born at 11:11 at night.
That is crazy. So I've heard a lot of times when people have like shorter labors, and especially since he came so early, like, was it hard for you mentally to like catch up and realize like what was happening, or were you like fully there and you're like, let's do this? You know what I mean? Like, whenever it happens so quick, it's kind of hard, like, just, like, so shocking what happened.
So in the moment, like, I was there to, like, do the labor part. But after he was born and I was sitting on the bed, I was like, I just had a baby. Like, it was taking a minute. Like, obviously he's on me. But I was still like, whoa. It's the 1st. Like, it's April 1st. My due date was April 19th. Yeah, so it was 18 days early. And I was like, I knew he would come early because my first came early. And I thought it could be the pattern for me. Which, again, I'm not like, I just always think like, oh, it'll go past my due date, whatever. Mm-hmm. So I was like, I'm still like in shock. 18 days is like, that's a lot. That's a lot of a gap to like not mentally be ready.
Yeah, that is crazy. My sister actually, she just had her baby, and he was a little over 2 weeks early, so it was like very shocking, so It's crazy.
Did she have a natural birth?
No, she like had that intention, and then she went to the hospital, and things happened. So just like a logistic question I had whenever you're talking about this. So you said you requested like a different pool, so you didn't have to like buy a pool for your house? Was that from your midwife, or how did that?
Yeah. So like in the fees with your midwife, typically, I don't think all of them, but I think most of them do, like the all the birth supplies come with it. So like your cleanup stuff, the tub, the liner, trying to think what else. Like they give you a whole kit to take home, like at around 36 weeks. So around 36 weeks pregnant, they'll give you your whole kit if you're wanting to do like a water birth. Some people don't, but I'm like all for it. And he, of course, is the biggest baby ever. He was 8 pounds, 11 ounces. So, and that was, 2 weeks early. So I'm thinking if it would have went any longer, he would have been huge. Because, they pack on weight at the end.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Do you notice, I don't know, I feel like it's not a good like sample size, but like, do you notice any like difference within your birth? Like your first was a little bit more difficult and your second was like very easy. Like, do you notice that in temperament with them at all?
I do. She is wild. She's wild. And I'm also with even like her body, and we do a lot of like chiropractic care. She's more, I'm not saying my birth was traumatic in any sense, but like birth they can still have trauma, like with pushing for so long, it still can be like kind of traumatic. So I would say we had to do a lot of body work with her, afterwards. And then,
Hi.
Chunky. With him, he's just very chill. Now it was like more, faster with him. I think it was like under 4 hours of labor, but his body was not in the same state as hers. He didn't get stuck. It was just boom, boom, boom. And temperament wise, he's just so chill. He breastfeeds easily. He's a mama's boy. So it was totally two different experiences, they're two different kids. Yeah, I don't know if births if you have more, if they get quicker or if that was just a happenstance. Because I've heard multiple different, stories.
I know, I feel like generally it's quicker, but I don't know, next time we're going to have a 2-hour birth. I don't know, maybe.
And I'm like, I better prepare when we get pregnant again. Like, I better prepare for a fast birth just in case.
Yeah, definitely. Also, just like random, what did you do with your placenta? Did you do anything with it or?
So with my first one, I encapsulated it and took it, and I feel like that really helped with like hormones. And I could tell like, and when I'd have a drop, and he would be like, let me get your pills for you. But I didn't have like severe postpartum depression or nothing like that. Then with him, I kind of did some research in between, and I just was kind of conflicted on what to do with the placenta, because I've heard like it's got a ton of hormones, and sometimes it's too much for your body, like to consume afterwards. And so I was just going to keep it in the freezer. And then I was like, but what am I going to do with, like, what's the reality that what am I going to do with it? So you just throw it in the trash.
Oh, really?
So
we bagged it up because he was born on a Monday. Our trash runs on Thursdays. We bagged it up, put it in the freezer, and then you just trash it.
Interesting. Okay. I always wondered about that.
And keep it. But again, I don't know why would I keep it? But yeah, I would say this second round I was taking like a different kind of tincture for hormones. And that really did help. It's supposed to help with like your milk supply. I didn't have any postpartum like night sweats with him. With Ellie, I did. I would like wake up drenched. Like the sheets would be drenched. So I'd be sleeping on towels so that I'm not like changing the sheets every single, night.
Oh my gosh.
But with him, like I just felt way better, like even.
How old is he now?
He's 5 months.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like, where is my tiny baby? He's 19 pounds. He's massive.
Yeah, I'm like, once Ace hit like 20 pounds, that was it for the carrier. I was like, it's a lot, like on your back.
Yes, my back has been killing me. So I've been going to the chiropractor. I'm like, I'm going to go every week until I feel like I'm okay.
Yeah. Wait, you've been going every week since, like, in your postpartum?
No, just here recently. Like, this will be, like, my third time. Because I was prioritizing my kids. And she was like, it's time to take care of yourself. And I was like, you're right. Yeah, I should take care of myself.
Yeah.
Is there anything else, like, any other things you want to add, or?
I would just say, like, I highly, highly encourage home births. Midwives are great, and they have all the resources, like, you know, that you usually need. Not all midwives, but I would say do your research, you know? And I think the more, like, you educate yourself, the better it's going to be, you know, because you have the power within you to, like, make it what you want it to be. I feel like I did a lot more research between the two, and with him, I knew more and was more connected to my body. And I will say I did chiropractic care when I was pregnant with him, and I didn't with her. So I feel like that made a big difference too in, like, my body being more aligned. So everything was, like, easy for him to, like, fit through the canal and, like, you know, be perfect to come out.
Also, one thing that just came to mind, did you ever, like, pray about anything specific, like with their birth or any, like, with your pregnancy or anything like that? Like, was there any, like, connection there? Because I know that you go to church, you believe in God. I feel like there's a huge connection in, like, bringing a baby into the world, you know? So is there anything, like, special that happened in that sense?
Trying to think. I did, like, specifically, like, I prayed, like, I really wanted a a water birth. So I was like, because I was in the water with her last time, but she wasn't born in the water. So I was really sad about that. So with him, I really wanted to, like, birth in the tub. And then I was going to say something else. Oh, my other biggest thing that I was really praying about, it's not the birth, but I was with Ellie. I had a lot of hard time with her latching. And so, like, that was my biggest, like, fear is, like, I want him to be able to latch and we breastfeed and not be, like, this awful journey like it was with her. And so literally once he was born, got him to, like, latch. That kind of took some trial and error because, you know, they're tired, you're tired. But yeah, it went really smoothly. And that was, like, my biggest fear. So I was just like, okay, Lord, like, I know you care about these details. Our body was literally made to do this. Our body was made to birth babies. So I can do this. I can, you know, do this in the tub. I have the strength to do it. And then, of course, our bodies were made to give milk to our babies. I mean, why else would they leak milk if they weren't designed that way, you know? And then I also, I forgot to mention during my birth, during my baby shower, I had the women write, like, scriptures or, like, encouraging notes. And so I had those saved and I was taping those on the wall during some contractions. My mom was, like, handing them to me. I'd read them and then tape them. And so those were really, really encouraging. There was, like, scriptures that the ladies had wrote, and then just like, encouraging words, like, you can do this. You were made to birth your baby. We're proud of you. And I was like, this is so sweet, as I'm, like, taping it to the wall.
Oh,
So,
that's a really cute idea.
Yeah, I was like, that's the main thing. I just wanted to have that encouragement. And I thought, like, if I tape them to the wall, I'll be able to read them during labor. No. I had my eyes closed, like, the whole time. Because, like, that's just, like, how I was, like, internalizing. So, but I did read them once.
Yeah, I mean, that's all you needed. You felt encouraged, so. But this is, like, I'm so glad that you did this. Seriously, like, taking time every day, I really appreciate it. And I just, like, really wanted to ask you some questions. And yeah, and it's really, like, I love listening to positive birth stories just like you. Like, last time I was pregnant, I remember at the end, I was like I would listen to something that said it was positive, but then they would, like, say things that happened, and I'm like, that's not positive. And then, like, that would get in my mind, you know? So I'm glad that you had, like, 2 good experiences that you were able to share.
Yeah, I loved even my first one. There was some, like, not complications, but just, like, uneasiness. But even then, I'm like, I loved it. I'm doing it again. Like, I think back, like, if I was in the hospital, it would have been so traumatic, and it was fine. My midwife was in control. Everything was fine. She was born. She was breathing. Like, it was fine. And it was still like, this is amazing. My body birthed this baby out. So, yeah, but I was the same way about, like, the birth stories, and I only had to listen to positive.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And like really like protect your mindset at the end of it. Even just like people around.
Yes. I know it's difficult with family. So yeah, if you need to like not talk about it around them or like literally leave the room, I would just do whatever you have to do to protect your mindset and your peace. Because that can like mess up on like, well, they doubt me, so like, can I do it?
Do you want to like share how people can find you if anybody wants to like reach out or whatever? And I can like put your Instagram or whatever else you have in the description.
Yeah, if you want to do like my Instagram, which I think is just my last name _ my first name, and then Facebook, or even my email's fine if you want to chat that way. But yeah, I love to chat all things birth. So like when people ask me like my opinion, I'm like, sure, I'll meet you where you're at. And if you need just little bits here or wherever, I love to just encourage women to do what they feels best for their body.
Yeah.
You know?
And you share a lot of like natural things on Instagram, which I really like. So yeah. It's just like not everybody is on the same wavelength, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Yes, it's hard. You got to find your people.
Yes, definitely. Okay, well, thank you so much. I'm sorry, buddy, we're taking your mom away, but I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me. I love it.
All right, bye.